Okay, so I'm going to start with how to do color-coded plans. That was a question Anthony asked yesterday, and I had to look it up. Apparently, you do it by creating a color fill legend. Before we do that, we need to look at how to create rooms, and I'll be looking at that first. So first of all, let's create a copy of one of our floor plans. So let's say I'm going to work with level 2 in the file I'm using. You can work with another file or open this one. I'm going to right click to my floor plan view, duplicate view, and duplicate view with detailing. And I'm going to rename this one as level 2 colors. Bless you. Now the trick was the question was how to use floor texturing along with colors. So first of all, let's review how to do floor texturing again. So the way we do floors was to create parts. In this case, let me see. Let's do show both. My parts are locked. Let me see if I have to create another floor slab for this guy. So I'm going to delete that. You go to level 1, bring up this floor slab. You could select everything here, go to filter, check none, and do floors and parts. Hit apply. Then I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to copy it, paste, align to selected levels, and paste it to level 2. So when I go to level 2, now I should have my floors there, and under properties I'm only seeing the original floor slab, so I'm going to change it to both. And if you're not seeing your parts, you need to go down to view range and decrease the depth, the view depth. So now we can see the floor fills. I'll do, let me see, this one we have to do the same. Let's go to view range, -1, -1. So I brought the floor textures here as well. Okay? Before I begin, I'm going to look at rooms quickly. So the rooms are where we associate tags to spaces or boundaries. So it's located under architecture, room, and area. So you have to do these individually, unfortunately. So you have to define each room space individually, but you could do it as a legend, like to one unit. And for the floor plan, you could just have like an overall one tag for the whole room or space. So you're going to go to room, and this is a smart object that recognizes the boundary of the room. If you see the cyan highlight, it basically is showing you the space boundary. And if I place it there, it's going to basically use a title for the room and a number. And I'm going to actually show you how you can customize this in a sec. Maybe we can also start with that. So if you're having trouble selecting it, you could use the tab key. And the way to select room tags is to find out this X. If you click on the X, you'll be able to select the room boundary, and then you can delete it as well. One other important thing with rooms is when you're defining them, they're defined by boundary walls. So in this case, for instance, if you want to control, if you want to split the room tag, because in this case I had this guy extending all the way to the entrance here as well. So maybe we want to split it here. You can use a room separator, which is located under the same tab, Architecture, Room and Area, Room Separator. And you can include kind of a line here as the room separator line. This is a two-dimensional object. And now if I click on the room tag, it wouldn't include that area. It will separate these two areas from each other, as you can see. So I can now create one here and another one here. And another important thing here is, let's say we want to include the space inside the closet. So in this case, you can see that this wall is separating this entrance space and the closet space. You can select the wall. Let's see, I think I need to edit the group. You can select this wall under the group and turn off room bounding option. So it wouldn't basically define the room boundary anymore. So if I take that out and finish, now if I come back to my room and try to select that area, it will basically now include part of the closet space as well for the room. Okay, so now I can actually create 3 separate rooms here. Let me just place this guy. Now what I'm going to do is customize this tag quickly, okay, because it's pretty big. So if I select the tag itself, it doesn't have too many customization options. So maybe we want to have control over what we are going to display per room. Like we may not want to show the room numbers, or we may want to change the text size. If you go under your project browser all the way down, go to annotation symbols, and there's room tag. If you right click to the room tag and go to edit, it's going to open up the room tag editor, where you can actually control or override the labels for the room and the information as well. So these normally come out just kind of abstract units, but there are sometimes construction plans as well. So let's see if there are some. If I go to the View tab under Visibility and Graphics, Annotation Categories, and if you turn on Show Annotation Categories in this view, let's choose all, hit OK. You can see the axis that defines the placement of the room tag. So every time you're actually choosing a point when you're placing the room tag, that point is this intersection point, right? And the labels are positioned according to that intersection. So for instance, if I want to change the label text, so let's say this is room name, I can go to edit type for the label. Right now we're using bold 1/8 inch, so maybe we want to make it smaller. I can duplicate this. Let's create a variation 1/32, and I'm going to enter the text size as 1/32 inches, and I'm going to keep it bold, maybe text font. I'm going to use something else. So let's say, you guys have any favorite fonts? Huh? So I got it from, after you place one, I mean, you don't have to place it, but you can go all the way on the project browser to annotation symbols, to room tag, right click the room tag and do edit, and it will prompt the family for the room tag. Okay, so now here I can basically create a copy, bold 1/32 inches. I'm going to change the text to Garamond, text size to 1/32, and keep the bold. Hit OK. Now it's using Garamond text and it's smaller. This guy is is showing the room number. If you want to customize the information you're going to show, let's say we delete these tags here. If you want to include more information, or you want to like create it from scratch, you could go to create label, and we want to keep them center middle and align center on, and I'm going to click to a space under the room name, and then you can include the information you want that label to display, right? So we want to display the area of the room, or the level of the room, the perimeter. You can include these sorts of details, like we are using name for the room name. I also want to include the area, so I'm going to include this guy here, hit apply, and hit OK. Now this label, I can reposition it here. Vertical line is middle, horizontal line is center, and then the label I'm going to change the type to bold 1/32 inches, and then place it somewhere under the room name, like that. Okay, so I'm basically customizing it. And make sure when you go to edit type, the backgrounds for these labels are transparent, so that they wouldn't create a white border or white fill over the floor area. Right, so I customize this guy. Now I'm going to go to Revit and click Save as Family. And I'm going to save this to desktop, call it Custom Room Tag. Any questions so far? The accesses, you have to go to View, Visibility and Graphics, Annotation Categories, and Show Annotation Categories. If they're not visible, you have to turn on Reference Planes. What I'm showing, those green lines are reference planes. Yeah?
Is there a way, like, I guess in the regular view, to set, if you want some labels to have the numbers and some to not?
Well, you can create two label types, right? Like I created one custom room tag, I can create another one and then change the type when I'm using the tag. So they could be variations of the same. I'm not sure if, like, you can, I think, also create look parameters here. So some of them are visible. So some tags I can create also parameters, right? And then make them visible or not. I can hide some of the details or information. I'm going to load this back into my project. And now if I come back here to the room, so I'm going to go to architecture room again. The custom room tag is here, and if I use it, there is already a room here, I think. So let me choose this area, go to filter, check none, choose the rooms, and delete the rooms. Now place it again. So now this guy is using room and it's showing me the square footage as well. So this is going to be another one, and this is going to be another one. So now I can choose this guy, and under the name I can write entrée. What do you call them? Entrée, entrance? I mean, in Europe we call it entrée. But let's say closet. Huh? This one is going to be bathroom. So each name that you're entering here will be stored in the tag family. So when I'm creating a new one here, I can get them again here, right? So room, I can place it here. So I can keep placing these rooms. Unfortunately, you cannot group these. You cannot include these under the groups. So if you want to do a full floor with these tags, you need to create them individually. And then I also need to create the room separators here. Right, so I need to create a room separator for each. Well, you can do an array if you want. So you can. So you can include the room separator in the group? Yeah, so we can do that. Let's do that. Let me see this guy, edit group. So this guy is included, but I have so many groups. I have to do it one for each. Anyway, I'm going to do a few, but to show you guys like what it does, I'm going to create a few rooms here. So let's say this guy is like that. Then I can change the type again, closet. It helps you align things as well, which is really nice. So bathroom here, try to place them somewhere where there's no furniture. It's kind of over the space. Then after you do that, we can add colors as well to this plan. So because I've been actually working with level 2. Let's say this is level 2. I'm going to delete this guy. Right click to level 2 again. Duplicate view with detailing. And rename this and call it level 2 colors. Now what I'm going to do is go to Analyze and Color Fill Legend. Under Color Fill there is Color Fill Legend. Now you can click anywhere on the screen where the legend will be displayed. Let's say we're going to click here. And then it prompts you to show what space type you want to use for the color scheme. You want to select rooms. And you can do color scheme by name. Hit OK. Now the room legend automatically recognizes the room types we have created and assigns a color to each of them as well. And these will be over the room textures. And sure, I went to Color Fill Legend, and when you click to place, you want to select rooms and name for the type. And if you want to customize this, you can choose the legend and go to Edit Scheme, and you'll be able to see the colors here as well and the names that are associated. So if you want to change, let's say you want to make them either grayscale or kind of a Pantone, Revit has these colors grades as well, which is really nice. So you could do like tones of red or tones of pink. So let's say this is going to be like light pink. Again, I go to Pantone. Let's say this guy is going to be like that. You could also do blue. Let's say this guy. I don't know how they're going to look like, but so they're basically color fills, right? These are actually a bit too dark, so I would probably make them lighter. So you can just increase the luminosity or pull them up a bit. So make them really like slight variations. Yes, so because we are associating the color to a room, so it's like creating a room legend. You can do this for the unit types, right? So you can do a color fill for each individual space or room. There was another question yesterday about lining up floor plans on sheets. There's a little cheat for that. So if you, let's say, go here to one of the sheets you created, select the sheet and go to you want to edit that. So let's say I want to go to families. Where is it located? Annotation symbols 11 by 17 custom. So I'm going to do edit. This is the sheet I'm using. What you want to do is create like a corner point for where the plans to be aligned. So you could either do like an axis here and an axis here, and then basically create this diagonal line. I sometimes use these lines as well, which kind of lines up to the grids. So I will just use these lines temporarily. So I will load this back into the project. Now I have those lines, and what I can do is, if I have grid lines here, I can line them up to the corner of the plan, right? So if I type in a line, I can choose this line, and then you need to activate the view. So I type in a line. You want to choose, let's see. So you can line it up here. My align didn't work for some reason. But I don't have the vertical grids, so let me pull up the vertical grids. Let's go to an elevation. If you're not seeing some of the grids in some of the floor plans, they need to intersect with all the floors. So pull these down. So I'm going to pull them down, and I should be able to see them now. Yeah, so now if I do MV, now I can line it up using those 2 points, and I can crop out the remaining portions. Now I could do the same thing to another sheet for level 2, level 3. So basically that alignment would line up all the plans on each sheet. And once you're done with it, you could just go back to the sheet family and take out those lines and reload them, right? So you can right click to the sheet, take these lines out, load it back into the project, and they will be lined up, and the sheets will be clean again. Let me see what else we're going to cover today. Grid head custom. Save. And then load into the project. Now if I come in here, go to edit type. The symbol is grid head circle. You want it to be grid head custom. And now their sizes will be different. If you want to create different shapes as well, let's make another one. So grid head square, I can right click, go to edit. Again, I want to work with the constructions, at least see them.
While you're doing that, is there a shortcut for snapping? Just they were trying to do with one circle in the middle of another one, snap it to the circle.
So I'm showing these as like quick edits and cheats. I'll be I wouldn't recommend too much like going fancy about these things, because like I tried yesterday, I probably spent 30 minutes customizing this section annotation. It was ridiculously tedious, and I had no idea why it's rotating, shifting. And there are some videos online as well, and people are complaining that it's not logical, and like how these axes work or which one the grid uses to line up or align. I would say just go intuitively about it. Like you know, this is going to be like there's going to be an extension of a grid line here. Just try to meet that point and then do a little graphic around it. That's it. Like keep it really simple. So in this case, like if I want to override this grid, what I want to do is make the text smaller. Right. So I come in here. I do 1/8. I want to do bold. Maybe this guy, this label. I want to do text alignment to middle and right. So now if I move this guy here, I can do something like this. I can remove constraint, align this to that, and lock that. Let's see if this is going to work. This one, remove reference. Maybe something like this, right? Because we could have double digits. I'm going to save it as another family. Let's see. Square custom. Load it into the project. Now come in here. Edit type. Grid head custom. I want the grid head square custom. And that lines up. Right? So you can customize those symbols as well. Make it any way you want. Okay, so I can do the same thing here. It will work horizontally, I think. Square custom. Well, you see it's giving me an issue. And I don't know why. So this is probably the placement of the family. So I will probably have to reposition the text. So if I go back to this guy, it's probably wanting this to be somewhere here. And this guy needs to be, let's say, something like this. So let's try doing this. So I try to position the text somewhere in the middle. Well, it's still not doing it right. Let's see. Maybe here. This is correct, but this is not. Oh, I guess this is in the middle as well. Okay. So the reason why the text is running away is because of this middle line, I think. So if I push this out and put this somewhere in the middle, I guess that will do the trick. Let's see. Kind of. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how to go about fixing this. I really don't. And yeah, I mean, what you want to do is like keep maybe the square and just manipulate the edges of the square and not go too fancy about it, right? Because you know how the grid lines connect to that. That's kind of what I would recommend. Like here, you know, I want to pick this point, but I want to also shift. When I did it yesterday, this was working actually, but somehow these are failing right now.
I'm still having trouble showing the axis. Can you do it?
The axis?
Yeah, for the labels.
Oh, for the labels, the labels will be visible when you place a grid. There are these checks, right? If I uncheck, the label will be gone. Right, I'll go back to the circle one, grid head custom. So for horizontal axis, keep letters. So these will be capital letters. You will start with A, B, C, D, E. Right, this is D, this is E, F, G. I got H. And for these, you want to start from 1 and go all the way to wherever they end. So let's say this guy's, well, if I put 1, it's going to give me an error because there's already 1 here, so I need to override it first. This is 1. Well, let's see, this is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. It's telling me there are some other ones that have the same, and I need to find and delete them actually. There's a grid label with X. Let's see. Why can't I give this 8? There's an 8 already somewhere. 9, 10, 11. This is 10. This is 9. Well, they are overlapping. Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2, and 1. Okay? So horizontal ones numbers, vertical ones letters. Let me see. The visibility and graphics yesterday, so let me show you quickly how you can customize and save them as styles. So for instance, if you look here, I have a model line. The green line is a model line that maybe I don't want to see in this plan drawing. So if I go to visibility and graphics, go all the way down to lines. If I take out all the lines, I wouldn't be seeing any model lines that I've used. So if I hit apply, those lines are taken out, right? But if you want to take out something specific, because sometimes we have, let's say, overhead lines, right? We use hidden lines for that. You may want to take out a specific line. So let's say in this case, you may want to find what line category this line belongs to. So I'm going to choose the line, and under line style it says lines, right? These are all the line styles that are built in. So it's using lines. So maybe you want to like disable the visibility of that specific line type. So I go to model categories, lines, and take out lines only. Hit apply and hit OK. Any line that is under that category will be hidden in this view, right? The other thing I want to make sure is the line weights. So let's look at how we can customize them. So here, if you look at the line weights, the poche and the window cuts, they're pretty thick. So maybe we want to customize them as well. So I'm going to go to visibility and graphics again. And I'm going to go to object styles for line weights. And under object styles, what I want to do is decrease maybe the wall cut properties. So I go to walls. So let's say the cut line weight is not 5, but it's 2. And the projections are going to be, let's say, 2 as well. If I go to window, let's say the glass, we want to keep it 3D light, so I'm going to keep it at 1. The frame, I want to keep it light as well, so I'm going to make it 1. Sill head, I'm going to keep it at 1 as well. So I'm going to hit apply and hit OK. Hit OK as well. Now these are lighter in line weight, right? So I can see a bit more detail. If I want to preserve these settings, I could go to visibility and graphics. Let's see. go to filters, edit new. Let me see, add, where was it? I don't want to choose the wrong one. Let's see. Object styles, filters. I think it was maybe here. Let's do plan. No, it's not this. This menu is different. Let me look it up again. While I find it, just go to Visibility and Graphics, Object Styles. This is where I updated some of the line weights. So I decreased the wall cut line weights here. They were like 4 or 5, which is pretty thick. I changed also the window details, right? I changed the glass, the frame. Yes. Visibility and Graphics, Object Styles. Object Styles. And then you can also change the door thicknesses. So let's say the door frame could be the same as the window frame. Let's say it's 2. Panel is 2 as well. And hit apply and hit OK. You want to keep them as as crisp as possible, because when this is pretty thick, lines start overlapping on your drawings, right? And that's something you don't want to do. Option to save the configuration here, but I'm not sure if this extends to all the visibility. If I go here and add the, let's say, shadows. Now some of you have been getting this issue where the shadow is pretty deep, right? This guy. So it's like going all the way to the ground floor. That's because you need to change. Let me see where that is. You need to change the it's not here. This color scheme. Is it under here? You need to set the ground plane for this to be on the same level, not level 1. I'm trying to find where that is. Depth clipping. That's correct. Okay, so let's go back to actually some of the rendering stuff. Yeah. So let's set up another viewport. So I had this view. You could also bring in like site objects to customize this view a bit. Let me see. So if you go to like Revit City or any type of other Revit collaboration site, you can download some cars, use them on your 3D renderings. You could also input some trees. I'm actually not going to use this project. The other one, the default one on Revit, that's more detailed. Let's look at that one. It will make it a bit easier to show you because there's a lot more detail on that project. So I'm going to close these. So let's go to open. You guys know? Alright, so let's go to one of the 3D views. Let's switch to an interior view. So for this assignment, you're also going to take some renderings. So I'll show you some of the basic graphic controls for it. So all these materials have been applied and the objects have been imported. I go to render. And so under lighting, if it's an interior shot, you want to use one of the preset interior settings. So if you have, let's say, custom lights here, you want to use sun and artificial to light up the scene. Or if it's a daytime shot and there are no interior lights, you can just use interior sun only and control the exposure of the sunlight to kind of balance the scene. So I'm going to turn to interior sun only. And the sun setting, actually we want to turn on the sun path, and I want to show the shadows as well. I'm not getting direct shadows here, so let's see what direction the light is coming. So maybe we can change the time. Right now it's at summer solstice, which is 7 a.m. So let's say we want to do an in-session still and make this like around noon. And then when you hit apply, you could see the kind of preview of the shadows you're going to get. And you can change the time a bit more. So let's say 1 o'clock, we get more shadows here. So I'm going to hit OK. Now let's start with medium. And I'm going to do a render. And then we want to start adjusting some of the features of this scene. So if you go to adjust exposure, if you look at kind of the brightness of the scene, overall scene, we can't also see the outside environment. What you want to do is change the exposure value, make it a bit darker. And this setting is pretty nice. So this adjust exposure control, because it can also quickly preview you what the rendering is going to look like. So you can start customizing some of these parameters to kind of adjust the scene. So let's say highlights, let's try to make them darker a bit. Midtones, I guess we can keep them a bit more brighter. Shadows, let's make them darker. Let's make the scene a bit warmer. It's kind of like little Photoshop touches, right? So it's customizing basically the scene. So again, saturation is controlling the color distribution. You can make it desaturated. White point is, I think, like look at the words. It says cooler and warmer. It says cooler and warmer, right? If I push it all the way to cooler, hit apply, the scene has more bluish tones. If I push it more to warmer, it's going to have more reddish tones. Okay, so that's kind of, I guess, another parameter they came up with. So it's kind of controlling color balance of the scene. Saturation is controlling the kind of closeness of the colors. So if you make it intense, you're going to get more contrast. If you make it grayish, you're going to get more plasticity out of it, right? So you can control, it's kind of like basic Photoshop overrides. And once you find a setting that you like, so let's say we want to keep it a bit more like saturated, and I see kind of the environment a bit better as well, then you can come in here, change the quality to be best, or you could go to edit and switch to custom, view specific, and depending on the machine you're rendering your scene, you can actually control these parameters. So you can like the more parameters you give here, the more time it's going to take to render the scene, right? And some of these are already built into these settings. So if you go to best, you can see what these settings are for the best setting, right? So image process precision, anti-aliasing is at 8, which means it's doing more ray tracing per pixel to kind of refine the object geometry, right? So let's say it's doing like 8 units more sampling per pixel, so that you get more fine edges. Reflection, if you're not rendering a scene with a lot of reflective materials, you could just customize this and then take down all the reflections, so you will save time for that pass, right? Again, same thing with refractions. Shadow options. Again, all these settings control kind of the precision or the detailing and the crispness of some of the features of materials. I would just stick with the best. I mean, these settings are pretty fine, and they give you kind of a good result. And if you want to change the resolution, go to printer and bump up the DPI. And for like final renderings, you want to do like at least 4,000 pixels, right? So it's like 600 DPI. And these are calculated based on the screen proportion you have. So the camera proportion affects the dot per inch resolution. So let's say this is what I want to do, and let's keep it at 300 DPI best. I'm going to hit render and see what we get. Using the graphic overrides, right? So let's say you set up kind of a new 3D view. So go to view, 3D view, default 3D view. You can use the view cube to set up an angle. So let's say I click on this corner and set up an isometric view of my project. And then I can change the graphic display options as well. So let's say graphic display options, shadows. I want to cast shadows. I want style to be shaded. Let me see. If I turn the hidden line, I think it's going to be grayscale. So I can customize some of these features here as well. Enable sketchy lines. I don't use them as much. So it's basically kind of turning your viewport into sketch, right? Lighting, again, we can control the amount of shadows we have as well as the direction of the light. So if I go to in-session lighting, let's try top right. That's actually top right. Let's try top left. That's coming from the other side, so I can control the direction of the shadow. And then let's say we are okay with this setting. Again, I could also customize this further. I could turn on the view cube, the section box. Let's see where that section box is. Maybe it's hidden. Reveal hidden elements. My section box was hidden, so I'm going to select the section box, unhide the element, and then you can bring this in. Maybe this is kind of the image I want to preserve or use for my project. And this poche I can control under visibility and graphics override, right? I could add like a poche color there. I could do for walls. do one for floors, for building pads. And let's say I set all of these up. This is the image I want to use. What you want to do is go to 3D, right click, save project as image, and call it section axon. You want to increase the resolution. So you want to do current view, or if you do visible portion of the view window, it's going to like use whatever you see here. So let's try doing that. And then I want to fit to, let's say, 8,000 pixels. Like bump it up.
Can you run through that one more time, please?
Sure. I recorded it though.
I know.
Okay. Now this is a lot faster, right? Because the stuff is already there. And if you go to the renderings, section axon, now it's basically an image. But since I had sketchy lines, I also see these imperfections, right? So it's like almost like hand drawn. And this is kind of a bad cut as well. So let's go back to that section axon. So go to visibility and graphics, sketchy lines. I want to take this out. I could add some ambient shadows as well. So make it like that. Let's see. Maybe we want to do under visibility and graphics. Can we do like a light shade for the topo? Let's do that. Projection. Let's do. Let me see. If I go to massing and site, model site, earth, surface pattern, cut pattern, appearance. Would I do it here? Let me see if this works. Doesn't work here. Let's try visibility and graphics. Topography, projection, surface patterns. Which one is it? Well, it's doing it to some. Oh, this one is grass. Okay. So if I change this, let's see. Well, I'm getting the green, but not the surface fill. Let me see if you can like add shades as well. It may have to do with changing from shaded to consistent colors. Now it's showing materials. Shaded, hidden line. Anyway. So when you come here, let's move the section box a bit more. So I'm going to push this a bit in. Look at this section. I'm kind of barely cutting through this wall. You either want to show the exact elements, so don't cut through that element, and don't cut through the walls too close, right? This is also not a good cut, so you want to show as much of the space as possible without cutting through the elements. So I'm going to go past that column and show space as well, so this will be a good cut, right? And I'm too close to the furniture here as well, so I'm going to go back just a bit. Well, now I'm getting the wall, so I have to be somewhere there. So it's a compromise. So find a position where you show the depth of the room, and then set up kind of an isometric view using the view cube, and then come down here, get to the view, right click, save project as image, save to project as image, and give it a name, section, cut, bump up the resolution, let's say 10,000 this time. It's pretty straightforward, I think, and you can make a lot of nice drawings using this technique. I also want to make sure that I don't get the section box line. If I do, I'm going to hide it and do it again. Let's see. Well, it doesn't show the section box, but that's kind of what I get. Right, so the more resolution, the better image you get. Okay? I don't mind you just doing images like this if you're not comfortable with rendering, or if you're running out of time. You could just set up the camera, even do perspectives with this visual setting. You can also do that. So you could do let's go to the approach. Well, we need to change the sun setting as well. So I'll go to visibility and graphics again. Turn it to, let's see. Let's cancel this. Turn this to hidden line. Go to visibility and graphics. Lighting. It's doing under fall equinox. We want to do maybe in session still, and then change the time, right, to find kind of a sun angle where this surface is not shaded. So let's try 2 o'clock. I guess this is north. Let me see. Well, it's also 9. Let's make it 5. Well, now it's getting there. What happens when we do 4? That's not bad. Let's do 12 o'clock. What about morning? Morning light is coming from here. Let's do 3 o'clock. Okay, I hit OK. Hit OK again. And then you can also use this view. I also showed you how you can change the silhouettes. So most of these lines would use a line type setting. So you could go to edit new and give color to those lines as well if you want. So let's see. Hidden lines, medium lines. Would it be these? Let's try red. Silhouettes, thin lines. Now I can go to edit new. If you change the color and line weight here to any type of line, let's make it magenta. Hit OK, apply OK, and then you can use that line type setting for your silhouettes, so everything will be highlighted with that color. And I can right click here again, save to project as an image, approach, shaded. Alright. So create some images like this. Let's see what we get. Let me show you some of the basic settings again. So if you go to level 1, or let's go to site. Let's say we want to capture another image from here. I go to view, 3D view, camera. I'm going to place it somewhere here and look at the project. And it already gives me kind of a window to control, right? So I'm going to stretch the dimensions of this window. And then everything else I did, like overriding visibility and graphics, giving it kind of choosing a shaded view or a hidden line view, enabling suns and shadows, like all this stuff you can also do in the new view we just created, which is this new camera I just included in the project. You have some overall controls here as well. By holding the shift on your keyboard and right clicking the mouse, you could orbit around the target a bit, so you can set up a better angle for the project, as well as you can also control this. If you minimize this view and go to 3D views on the project browser, right click on the view and do show camera. Let's open a floor plan. Let's open site, choose the view, and then right click on the view here and do show camera. It will show you the position and the target of the camera in the plan view. So if you can also control the positioning and the target location of the camera here, as well as the clip plane. So this dot here controls the far clip plane of the camera, where basically it stops capturing beyond that line. You could also deactivate it under the camera options. So if you go to far clip active, this is basically controlling the offset, like how far we are seeing through the camera. But if you deselect it, deactivate it, you will just capture everything in that view. And then you can control the location of the target as well as the location of the camera, and the height, the eye elevation of the camera you can control here. There's an eye elevation value. Now this project, this value is in reference to the project units and the elevation values. So in this case, I guess it could be like you can set up 1750. It may be like in meters. So it's like 1 meter 75 centimeters, which is kind of a human eye height. Right? So I can set up eye elevation, target elevation the same way. So if I do 5000, I'll start looking up. If I do 0, I'll start looking down. Okay? So basic controls. Image we just took. Approach shade. That's how that turned out. Now I can make these a bit thicker actually. Right? So the silhouettes, they're a bit thin. I can make them thicker if I go to graphic display options of that viewport. I think it was this approach. Graphic display options. Silhouettes, I was using thin lines. If I do edit new, go to thin lines, I can bump up the line weight of the projection, make it 3. Those lines will be thicker. Approach 2. Let's go to the, was it 3D? Yeah, it was 3D. So let's go to visibility and graphics, topography. Let's do diagonal lines. Where are they? We could also do, let's see. Let's do diagonal down and magenta. So you could do like, it doesn't have to be a poche, it could also be like diagonal lines. These also look nice on drawings. Actually, let me show you. Let's add one to the building pad. Was it under site? Site, pads, cut. Let's do a magenta solid fill there too. now the colors are not matching, but I guess you guys got the point, right? Okay, so let's see. Topography, hidden lines, secondary. Primary contours. Can we make these as well? Let's see. Let's do aligning line. I still couldn't get the side contours to change. I'm trying to find out which ones they are. Let's see, secondary contours. Let's do dash tight. It's not those either. Grass. It's not here. Well, it cuts it but doesn't project. Good question. Like glass, you mean? Like glass, it shows a solid line. I think it will still show a solid line. It wouldn't add a transparency to the cut element if it's transparent. Transparency is a material property, not a visual style property, right? But you can give it a transparency as well if you want if you want to override that. Let's go back to my hotel. Open project. Let's close these guys. So if you go to visibility and settings of level 2, let's say we want to include shadows and we want to restrict the shadow depth here. You go to graphic display options, lighting, in-session lighting. You can also control the depth of the light or the direction of the incoming light, but you also want to deselect this. Ground plane at level 1. You want to either switch it to level 2 so that it restricts the shadow depth, because when you're doing like the shadows at level 10, you don't want to go all the way down to level 0, right? You want to restrict them to the level. You could also do top right or top left. Let's say top right. If I deselect it, if you take it out, it stops projecting it outside of the plan, which is also nice. You could also do that, right? So the shadows will be kept inside the drawing. I could also control, let's try 60. That's too much. 150 and 60. You can control the angles as well. Yeah, that's not bad. So it's basically located under sun setting. Take out the ground plane at level, and you may have to do this per view. So if you go to level 1, lighting, you can take that out there as well. Let me see if I do level 1. Well, this works better for this drawing though, because I'm including the site. This setting works better for this drawing. I don't have any shadows on level 1. Level 3. Okay.